I really want to dress in a way that's authentic. I'm not actually sure that's authentic for me. How do I figure out what my authentic style even is? These are things that I'm going to talk about today because they're things that I hear on repeat from clients. So let's get started. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I am a style and mindset coach, and I can help you create a wardrobe you absolutely love wearing. Not a wardrobe that has pieces that you love, but you don't actually know what to do with them, so you never put them on your body. And not a wardrobe you wear on repeat, but you don't actually really love what the pieces are. I can combine the two so that you have a wardrobe you love wearing that's filled with pieces you actually love. It's really not that hard, I promise. I work one-on-one with clients in a program called Style Therapy. It's my signature program, and it will absolutely transform the way you see your clothing and the way you look and feel when you get dressed. If you would like more information, I offer a 1-hour free consult call to really get clear on what you're struggling with so that we can tell if Style Therapy is a good fit, and you can decide if you'd like to join me. There's a link down below, and we can set up that call so that you can really truly start loving your style as soon as possible. Okay, today I want to talk about authenticity in our style and really truly dressing in a way that is authentic for us. This is something, a few weeks ago I did a 4-part series of different words that I constantly hear women say with regards to what they want when they get dressed. And if you haven't checked that out, I will link one of those right here so that you can start that series. Authentic is another word that I hear on repeat when women tell me how they want to look and feel when they get dressed. And it seems to be an area that creates some friction because oftentimes the wardrobe that they have is not actually making them feel like their most authentic self. So today I want to talk about kind of what authentic style even is and how to go about creating it. So when I look up the definition for authentic, I'm just going to read kind of what I came up with so that we are all starting on the same page. Authentic, of undisputed origin, genuine, done in a way that faithfully resembles an original, based on facts, accurate or reliable. If something is authentic, it is real, true, being what it claims to be, genuine, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. So those are kind of a few different definitions pulled from a few different dictionaries to give you an idea of what where I'm coming from when I start to talk about authentic style. So I think we can all agree that authentic means genuine, that if something is authentic, it's usually genuine, whether that's a Chanel handbag that is a genuine Chanel handbag or genuine leather that is truly authentic leather, authentic handbag. It's something that's real, true. It's what it claims to be, which I actually really like this with regards to defining your authentic style. If you feel and identify and claim to be one way, but the clothing in your closet and the clothing that you wear doesn't actually feel congruent with that person that you claim to be, it can get kind of messy and style doesn't feel good and you don't feel like yourself when you get dressed because the pieces aren't in alignment with who you are. And finally, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. I mean, this is what style is all about. You want your style to represent your personality, your spirit, and your character. So authentic style is something that I think trips women up, but it's really not that difficult. The difficulty seems to appear when what we're wearing might feel authentic, but we still don't like how we look. So then our authentic style starts to be called into question, like, well, I'm authentic in sweatpants because that's kind of what I'm wearing and it feels like it's appropriate for the life I live and all of that, but I don't feel fabulous in it. So I guess my authentic style, it can't be stylish. Like authentically, I can't look good in my clothing because if sweatpants are authentic for me and I'd really rather not wear sweatpants, then anything else I put on is going to be inauthentic and therefore not feel genuine for me and not feel true to who I am and to my personality. And I just want to kind of unpack this a little bit today and really assure you that authentic style is actually always the way that we should be getting dressed. I don't believe that we should ever be trying to look or feel like someone else when we get dressed, with the exception of when we're stretching beyond our comfort zone and we're kind of redefining our style and rebuilding our style and kind of changing our brand, if you will. Then it's totally fine that something doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel normalized. and we wear it anyway until it becomes the new normal, until it becomes really authentic for us. But even within that work, I don't think that we should stray too far from what just truly fundamentally feels authentic for us. So authentic style and an authentic wardrobe is really a wardrobe that you always feel good in because it always feels like you, which is great if the you that you're dressing for has been kind of intentionally decided versus the you who just wears sweatpants because they're the most comfortable, easy thing, but they're not really authentic to the style you'd like to be. They're just kind of where you are right now. So the change, the kind of the bridging the gap from where you are that feels authentic to what the authentic version of you would be if getting dressed and feeling and looking amazing in your clothing was normal for you. The other thing I'll mention is that authentic style can change. There was a time when I wore a lot of dresses, and dresses felt very authentic for me. At this stage in my life, this chapter, I don't wear very many dresses. I don't wear dresses very often. So dresses currently are not super authentic for me. I am almost always more comfortable in pants. And yet there were seasons in my life and times in my life where dresses were a go-to for me. And anyone who looked at me would think, you know, of course Kristen has a dress on because she wears dresses often and that's authentic for her style. That has changed. And so authentic style isn't something that you start with when you're in 6th grade and it never changes. You are completely allowed and encouraged, in my opinion, to change and evolve how you look and how you dress and what you wear and what feels authentic for you. It's just that it needs to be intentional. If we're not ever changing it and not ever looking at it, then chances are what used to be authentic could still be what we're wearing, but it no longer feels authentic. So if you used to wear dresses and now you don't, that doesn't mean you don't have authentic style. It means that what was authentic for you at one time just is no longer authentic for you. And you've paid attention to that and you have honored that by now wearing more pants or more skirts if dresses are out. You're simply buying and wearing the things that feel most authentic for the you who you are now. So in my case, there are some things that have been kind of moved out over the years because they no longer feel authentic, even though they once did. So dresses are one of those things. Wool is one of those things. I used to wear wool very happily. Wool was an authentic, fiber and a regular part of my wardrobe. At some point, wool started to really bother my skin. It's not comfortable on me any longer. So it's no longer authentic for me to wear wool because I'm not physically comfortable in it. So wool is no longer part of my kind of authentic criteria for an authentic wardrobe. The same with brown. I have plenty of pictures over the years of me wearing a garment that is brown. I don't own anything brown right now, with the exception of an old cashmere sweater of my dad's, which I love wearing, and it's authentic because it belonged to him and because it's cozy and it feels like a big hug. But the color is not really, and it's a little speckled. It has some other colors kind of knit into it, so it breaks up the brown. But it's not authentic for me in the sense that the color is so me. It's just that the story around the sweater and the comfort of the sweater allows it to be in my wardrobe. But brown is no longer something I look for when I shop because it isn't authentic for me. Brown as a color on my body does not make me happy. I wear brown shoes, but I don't wear clothing that's brown because I don't feel good in it. The other thing that isn't super authentic for me is clothing that's sexy. It just is not really part of who I am as a person getting dressed and going out in the world. And so my clothing tends to not have that vibe to it, where other women, that is just inherently part of who they are, and their clothing reflects that. It's authentic for them to dress in a way that is sexier, that might have plunging necklines or open backs or skirts that might be shorter or heels that are higher, things. And those are pretty classic sexy items. I realize that that is very stereotypical and not the only way to appear sexy. It's just that that is not something that is super authentic for me, so it doesn't show in my wardrobe as far as kind of an authentic part. I'm not intentional about making sure that that's part of the pieces that I choose because that's not super authentic for me. So I'm going to address the mindset piece a little bit here because this is really where the problem occurs. When we want to change to have our wardrobe and our style, our personal style, be more authentic, and we've been dressing in a certain way for a while, our brain can get a little bit loud because it thinks, well, you've been dressing this way for the past decade or 2 or 3 or however long, so that must be authentically you because you've been choosing this over and over. You've been choosing this style and this type of garment and these colors and these fabrics over and over again, so that must be authentic for you. So why would you steer in a different direction? Why would you begin to try something uncharted and different? And that's okay, because that's your brain's job. Your brain wants to feel safe. Your brain likes repetition. Your brain doesn't want to feel safe. Your brain wants you to be safe. Your brain wants to keep you alive. It's its only job. And so, as ridiculous as it seems that picking a different color or stopping wearing wool could be perceived as dangerous, our brain doesn't know the difference between an actual real threat and just a threat that is perceived because it's different. So by deciding you want a more authentic style or to recreate who you are authentically when you get dressed, your brain says, first of all, it's unnecessary. Second of all, it's probably going to take too long. It's going to be too much trouble. And the style you have right now is authentic because you've been wearing it for a really long time. So how dare you try to change? That's a really bad idea because it could be dangerous to you. I sense a threat. There's something new, something unfamiliar. We like routine. So I don't think you should change anything. Authentic is the sweatpants that you've been wearing. Not true. It just means your brain needs a little bit of coddling. You need to slow down a little bit and be more intentional about it, and maybe take smaller steps in the direction of your new authentic style in order for your brain to be okay with it and not to put the brakes on and have you just resort to the old way. So how do you create authentic style? Good question. Let's go into this. So first, you want to define yourself. You want to really, truly take a little bit of time and define who you are and how you want to show up at this stage in your life, because you can start to pull things out of your closet. You can start to edit. You can start to wear the garments you own in new ways. But if you haven't defined what your authentic style is at this point, then you're not necessarily going to hit the mark the way you would like to. You're not really going to end up with authentic style. I mean, you might along the way, but it's going to take a lot longer, and there's going to be much more trial and error than if you pause at the start and really try to get clear about what is authentic style. What do you want your authentic style to be right now? Who are you right now, and how does she dress? What words come to mind when you describe yourself in the most authentic way? And to start with, I don't even think these need to be style-related words. As part of the style therapy program, we go through and come up with kind of a litmus test. And there, I give a long list of style words that the client goes through and pulls from, the words that feel most authentic for her and resonate the most. I don't even think we need to start there. I think the first place in this case of defining your authentic style is to really get clear on just what words describe you as a human. It could be your values, what things really stand out to you as the things that are most authentic to you. And play around with that. Get a pen and a paper and really start to write down, who are you? Describe who you are. Describe what your values are. What is authentic for you? Not related to style, but just related to you as a person, because that's going to begin to inform how you want to look and feel when you get dressed. And so once you have a little bit of an idea about that, and it could be that you're honest, that you're trustworthy, that you're warm, that you're outgoing, that you're reserved, that you're private, that you're a cheerleader for everyone, that, whatever those things are, get a little bit clear on who you are as a person, what is authentic for you as a person. And then go the next layer and start to pull words that are actually adjectives, that will actually describe a style. And we're going to begin to create a filter for your authentic style, so that when you go into your closet to edit, when you go to shop for new pieces, when you go to get dressed, you have an idea of where you're headed. You have a filter for, okay, the words that I picked were simple, authentic, and beautiful. Does this piece make me feel simple, authentic, and beautiful? Does it resonate with me when I wear this, that what I'm showing up as, the person I'm showing up as, is simple, authentic, and beautiful, or my style is simple, authentic, and beautiful? And I realize I dropped authentic in there because simple, authentic, and beautiful have been part of my litmus test for a very long time. So it could be simple, chic, and whimsical. It could be effortless and artistic and playful. Whatever the words are that feel like they describe the style that feels most authentic to you. And play around with this for a few days. Post the words, on your bathroom mirror and look at them and really start to live with the idea that if those words are my filter, pick 3 to 5 words, I would say. If those words are my filter for creating my authentic style, do they resonate today? And tomorrow morning, do they still resonate? Or do I maybe want to tweak playful for something else? Or do I maybe actually not mean whimsical, I mean creative? Or whatever those words are for you, start to create a little bit of a blueprint for what your authentic style actually is. What are your values? And then what are the descriptive words that you would use to describe your authentic style, or what you would like your authentic style to be? And as you come up with your words, I just want to urge you to get really clear on whether those words are words that you are choosing for yourself authentically, or whether they're words that you chose a long time ago, and when you really sit with them, they no longer feel relevant. Whether they're words that someone else in your life kind of has always put on you, oh, you're so artistic. But really, your authentic style isn't artistic. You might be artistic in nature, but you don't actually want your clothing to represent that part of you. And I'm just using these as examples, but oftentimes when I work with clients, their idea of their style has come from some outside influence. They have not actually sat with themselves and really truly gotten clear on, is this actually authentic for me? What do I want my authentic style to be? And how do I want my clothing to represent me when I get dressed? Because there's so much outside influence, whether from our own families, from our friends, from sales associates, from retailers, from all sorts of media outlets. There's so much coming at us that I find that it's really helpful to kind of step back and pause and get really clear and intentional on what is authentic for you, so that moving forward, you can have that show up in your wardrobe. You can create a wardrobe that actually looks and feels authentic when you get dressed. And then in addition to your words that you choose, kind of your values and your litmus test that you create with those 3 to 5 words, kind of style words, adjectives, I would decide what matters most to you, because when you think about authentic style, you could think, for instance, I want a designer only wardrobe. I want a wardrobe that is high-end designer pieces only. And that would be the most authentic for me, because I've just decided that that's who I want to be. That's who I am. And I want my style to represent that. I want a designer wardrobe. And I'm on an Old Navy budget. Therefore, I can't dress authentically. I might as well just stay in the sweatpants, because I can't have the high-end designer wardrobe that I really want. And Old Navy isn't cutting it. It's not actually, while it might be in my budget, it's not actually giving me the look that I want. In that case, it's really a matter of how can you solve for the problem, for the situation of wanting your authentic style to be designer only when your budget isn't allowing for it. And so in that case, I would start secondhand, because there are secondhand pieces, incredible designer pieces available secondhand at prices that really are pretty close to Old Navy, depending on where you shop and how skilled you become at that, kind of at the hunt and securing pieces that are high-end pieces at low prices. So I would first off consider secondhand shopping. I would consider, you could even do like a clothing swap with friends. You might have a friend who always has the most incredible designer clothing and she's always giving bags away. You could offer to swap some things that she might, maybe you have jewelry that she covets, or maybe you have home furnishings that she thinks, man, I love that pillow. And you could do some sort of a swap of items. You could borrow from a friend. If you have a friend, I thankfully have a dear friend who always had the most amazing dresses. And I borrowed many, many dresses from her over the years, because I didn't really invest in beautiful dresses to wear to fancy events, and she did, and she was very generous and always loved sharing them with me. So I was able to kind of live that high-end, beautiful dress to wear to a special occasion lifestyle and have that be authentic for me by borrowing a dress. You could also begin to look at what that designer wardrobe would include. What colors would it include? What shapes would it include? What fabrics would it include? And begin to kind of create your own collection and your own authentic wardrobe made of those same elements, but from Old Navy or from Target or from H&M or from a resale shop, where you're not actually buying a piece that's from the Row or that's Chanel or that's Armani, but you have paid attention by way of the internet. Thankfully, you don't even have to buy a magazine or go in a store. You've checked out, on Pinterest and on the brand's websites, what the colors are for the season, what the silhouettes are for the season. And you can mimic that idea so that you can create an authentic wardrobe. If what matters to you is a designer look and feel, you can create that at any price, at any budget. And you are building authenticity in your style even before you might be able to actually afford those pieces. And the importance of actually securing those true designer pieces might fade as you realize that you can have that look and have the feeling that you believe that look will give you right now at Old Navy and at, the thrift shop. Another way that authenticity could be present in your wardrobe with regards to what matters is that you really authentically don't want to dry clean anything. In which case, then don't buy anything that needs to be dry cleaned. I can't tell you, as silly as that sounds, how many times I am in clients' homes and they have garments that they don't ever wear because they need to be dry cleaned. So they're never coming out of the closet, but they're not willing to part with them. And yet, what's authentic for them is to not have to go to the dry cleaner. So those pieces don't belong in their wardrobe unless they can retrain their brain and be okay with pieces that need to go to the dry cleaner. Neither way is wrong. It's just that if authenticity for you means no dry cleaner, then you shouldn't have pieces in your wardrobe that need to be dry cleaned. The same is true for errands. If you can't stand returning things, then every single piece you buy needs to be a hell yes. You need to only bring home pieces that are 100% absolute yeses. I will wear this. I love it. It's perfect. And that sounds difficult, but it really isn't, because the more style self-trust you can build, the more you know when you're standing in the store if it's a yes or a no. It took me an extraordinarily long time to get to this point, because I don't mind doing returns, and I worked retail for a very long time, and I know how to do returns. I know how to be efficient with returns. And I often would bring home a piece that I was undecided about. And if I really look back, I knew in the store that I really was undecided, and that indecision was really leaning more towards, I don't actually love this. It doesn't actually fit the purpose or the price, or the garment isn't quite right. And yet I would buy it anyway, and then I would need to return it. So if you're someone who authentically does not ever want to have to do a return because they just can't stand doing errands, and returns are the worst of the errands, then practice self-trust, style self-trust, grow that muscle of really listening to that intuition, that hit in the fitting room that says, this isn't quite right, but it's only $19.99, but I really need a new top for tomorrow night's date, but it's better than what I already have. If you buy pieces like that and tend to return them, then recognize that when that's happening in the fitting room, that is not creating an authentic wardrobe, because an authentic wardrobe is not just pieces that look and feel authentic on your person. It is also authentic to the way you want to operate with your wardrobe. So whether that's you want designer clothes only, you don't want to go to the dry cleaner, you don't want to ever have to return anything, pay attention to that when you're shopping, so that you're not bringing in pieces that are going to continue the spiral of, my wardrobe isn't authentic and I might as well just wear sweatpants. Same thing goes with tailoring. This is the last example I'll give, but this happens a lot too. Oh, I'm going to wear that once I take it to the tailor. It needs to be taken in. Or, oh, that blazer's always been too tight in the shoulders. Do you think a tailor could fix that? Yes, a tailor could fix that. And if you're someone who authentically doesn't want to have to go to the tailor, then don't buy the pieces that need to be tailored. And I realize this is easier said than done in some cases, because we're not all fit model shape. Totally understand that. Neither am I. So there are things that do need to be altered sometimes. I tend to wear a lot of knits, and I tend to wear a lot of pants that are cropped, because usually they don't need to be altered. The knits are forgiving, so nothing needs to be taken in or altered, really. When I buy a knit, I'm willing to go a little oversized. I'm willing to go a little snugger, but I don't need to have, the sleeves shortened or things shortened on it usually. And when I buy pants, I am not real tall. I do not have really long legs. So when I buy pants, I tend to go towards something that is a little bit cropped, because if it's cropped on a fit model, it often will hit me kind of just below my ankle bone. So if you don't want to have things altered, just know that buying pieces that need to be altered is going to add to that feeling of, my wardrobe isn't authentic, because it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for the life that I live. It doesn't feel authentic. Same goes for like silk blouses. Again, I have clients who have these beautiful silk pieces, but they're always cold, and they don't really want to wear a camisole underneath, and they don't really want to layer over top. So here are all these silk blouses that have like 6 days a year that are the right temperature to wear the silk blouse. And they might also be the same client who doesn't want to take anything to the dry cleaner, so the silk blouse never comes out of the closet, because it's not authentic for that person. She might aspire to be someone who wears silk blouses. She might wish that was her, in which case there are ways to begin changing what is authentic for you by normalizing something different. But usually, fundamentally, it's just an idea that she got from a neighbor who always looks great in her silk blouse, or from Instagram, where everybody's pushing satin blouses right now. So I better have a satin blouse in my wardrobe, or 6, but I don't actually wear them because I'm freezing in them, or I don't have anything to layer over them, or I don't like going to the dry cleaner. So I think you get the idea that authenticity isn't just a matter of I love red, so my wardrobe has a lot of red because that's authentic for me. It is also, how do the other parts of getting dressed, the maintaining the clothing, the purchasing the clothing, how the clothing feels on your body, how do those things work with the pieces that you have, and is all of that authentic for you? Because we want that genuine sense of, this wardrobe is so me, to carry all the way through. It's so me, I don't have to have anything tailored, I don't have to return anything, I don't have to put on 4 layers in order to be warm enough. All of that plays into the authenticity. So once you have kind of what matters to you, you've got your words that kind of are your values, you've got your words that are your litmus test for kind of describing the style that you would like to create, and you know what matters. So if your words are whimsical and playful and elevated, and you have pieces that maybe feel whimsical and playful and elevated that you try on in a store, but you're going to be too cold in them and they need to be altered and you're not 100% sure, then it's not authentic for you to bring those home, because they're not going to add to this authentic wardrobe that you're building. Next step is to get into your closet and really assess what's in there. Look at the pieces and really decide what is authentic. Take your words with you. What fits through that filter? Like, what makes it through that screening process of, does this piece make me feel these words that I have decided are most authentic for me right now? Do these garments, is there congruence with the garment and with the authenticity that I am building in my wardrobe? And you want to make sure that it's the you are right now. This happens in every closet. There are pieces that are very you from 5 years ago, from 2 years ago, from pre-pandemic is a big one right now, from before you had kids, from when you first met your partner. It was authentic for you at a time, so there's nostalgia in there. There are memories attached to it. Everything is energy, so you feel that when you look at the garment, but you're not actually wearing it because it's not authentic to you right now. And so I would really, really pay attention to, are the pieces that are in your wardrobe, go through each piece. Is it authentic for you right now? Or is it that it was authentic for a version you used to be? Is it that it's authentic for your sister-in-law and she keeps, bless her, she keeps buying you these beautiful pieces or handing down these beautiful pieces that she thinks should be authentically you, but she's missing the mark and it's not her fault. You keep accepting them, so she thinks, oh, well, she must love these high neck lacy blouses that I'm handing down or that I'm buying her as gifts. But if they're not authentic for you, say no thank you, or graciously accept the gift and then donate it or whatever needs to happen, so that it's not clogging up the authenticity meter in your own wardrobe. Pay attention to what those pieces that are hanging in there right now really say about you, and are they saying what's most authentic and genuine? Are they showing the actual true version of who you are right now? And the one thing I'll tag on here is that it's okay if your authentic style in some way is a stretch. That if right now you've been comfortable in kind of baggy jeans and an oversized sweater, but you have this we all have that fantasy idea of what we're going to look like and how we're going to dress later. So if your fantasy self and your authentic self that you're striving for dresses differently than what is in your closet, and you have a few pieces that are kind of crossover pieces, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we're trying to get you to elevate and to step into the next version of you. So whatever that looks like for you, it's okay if your authentic self, you're not quite there yet, and she's a little bit out of reach. That's fine. You want to work towards that. But all of this needs some intentionality so that you are creating an authentic style that is actually true for who you are right now, not something that was based on a past version, and not something that's based on a future version, but you're not taking any steps to get there. You have the pieces, and your sometime in the future authentic self might wear them, but you're not taking any steps to get there, to bridge that gap. And then the next thing is to get into your clothes. Get into the pieces that are in your closet and really decide, when they're on your body and you're wearing them for the day, are they authentic? Are they authentic for the me that I am now and the me that I'm kind of stretching into? Does this piece belong? And you could do this in a couple of different ways. You could do this by pulling apart, kind of separating the pieces that genuinely feel the most authentic for you right now. Like they are absolutely, yes, I feel my most authentic me today version of me in these pieces. And just wear those for a week or two. Just wear the pieces that are absolutely like bright light, super, yes, authentic for you. Just wear those and see how that feels. See if anything's missing. See if every time you get dressed, you just don't have a belt that feels authentic. The rest of the outfit is great, but you're falling short in the belts or the jackets or the shoes or the jewelry, whatever the category is that might be a little loose. You might have all the things that you need, but you might not. And if you don't, as you start to wear the authentic pieces, you will notice those gaps. You'll notice what's missing when you go to get dressed, because you'll have to revert back to a piece that isn't as authentic anymore, that, might still be hanging in the other part of your closet. And when you go to get dressed and you can't find a belt and you pull the belt that isn't actually you right now, you'll see, oh, I need a new belt that actually feels more authentic for me right now. So get in the pieces. You can do this the other way too. You can separate all the pieces that are most authentic, and then you can wear the rest. You can wear the pieces that didn't make the cut and really decide, are they actually not authentic for me anymore? It was easy to, you're kind of skimming off the top, the really easy choices, the low-hanging fruit. It's simple to decide, yes, these pieces are authentic. The pieces that you might be on the fence about, get those on your body. Choose to wear those for a week and really dig into, does this piece feel like me today? Or does it feel like the me that I'm growing into, that I want to become, that I'm challenging myself to dress for? Because if it doesn't belong in your wardrobe, unless it is a piece that could be made better by wearing it with the pieces that are the most authentic. So I still kind of believe that most of those pieces that didn't make the first cut of, yes, this is super authentic for me, likely should go. They probably just don't belong in your wardrobe. But in the case of some great basics, or, some things that might be a little bit, like, let's say you have a great pair of cowboy boots and they just aren't really very, very authentic for you. And so you don't put them in the authentic pile because they're not super authentic. But if you were to put them on with a pair of wide leg jeans and a cute little sweater and a great belt and a scarf, and make them very non-Western, just actually make them kind of cool footwear, they could be part of your new authentic style. So it's not that they have to go, but you need to pay attention to the fact that this is a piece I need to try to work with. And if after working with it, it still doesn't feel authentic, then it shouldn't be in my wardrobe. The same is true for trench coats. And I say trench coats because I have had many trench coats. I currently do not own one. I'm not sure, unless I live in London, that I will ever own one again, because they are not authentic for me. I love them on other women so much that I get tricked into thinking that I need to try to find another one. I have found countless trench coats thrifted. I even found a great kind of steely blue-gray one. London fog, it was amazing. I edited it out before we moved to Utah because it just isn't me. I don't wear trench coats. They're not authentic for me. So it doesn't matter if the piece is on every must-have list. I don't have a white button-down shirt either for the same reason. It's not authentic for me. So you have permission to decide that the things on a must-have list of every stylist in the nation are not actually authentic for you, and you don't need to have them. But before you get rid of those pieces that you may have accumulated thinking they were a must-have and they would create some authenticity for you, I would experiment with them, and I would mix them with the pieces that you have deemed authentic, that you really have decided and intentionally chosen as, this is, what came out of my wardrobe as the most authentic, this little capsule. And then I would go through and start to mix the pieces that didn't quite make the cut in with those authentic pieces, and see if you can create an outfit that feels authentic using some of the other pieces. And if you can't, those pieces should go. They just genuinely don't belong in your wardrobe if they aren't genuinely you. And last thing I'm going to say is to welcome change. One of the biggest issues I find in this whole creating an authentic wardrobe situation is the resistance to letting go of the old version of ourselves, because authenticity is one of those things that that's pretty ironclad. Like when we decide that something is authentic for us, it's hard for us to let it go. We've kind of stepped into the fact that this is how I dress, this is what I wear. And then if we try to deviate from that, our brain kind of gets a little loud and goes haywire and says, hey, wait a minute, like you said you didn't wear bright colors, myself included, and yet you will notice I have a very bright sweater on today. And while my brain wants to say, that sweater is not authentic for you, it is bright blue. It is like cobalt blue. You do not wear royal cobalt blue ever. So it's not authentic. You shouldn't even have that sweater. And yet, this sweater was my mom's, so it was a hand-me-down from my mom. On a recent trip to Ohio, I snagged it out of her donation box, and it is a classic shape, and it is cashmere. So classic shapes are authentic for me. Pullover sweaters are authentic for me. Crew necklines are authentic for me. Cashmere is authentic for me. So it ticked a lot of boxes, even though the color is pretty bright. Blue is very authentic for me. Brights are having a moment right now. They're kind of on trend. I don't really shop trends. I rarely shop retail anymore. I'm almost all thrifted, secondhand purchases or hand-me-down purchases. Not purchases, but hand-me-downs. So by rights, my brain could say this sweater is not authentic for me because it is bright, and yet it is authentic for me in the sense that I like to have bright colors on as it gets to be winter and as things feel a little dull and gray and drab outside. So be open to trying something new, because if I had listened to the part of my brain that says, you don't wear bright colors, you would never wear that bright blue sweater. That looks like your mother. That doesn't look like you. It's not authentic for you. It's authentic for her. Pay attention to that in your brain and then really get clear on, yeah, but if I look at my words, could this sweater work? Could I, especially when it's a hand-me-down sweater, you're not actually investing in it. Could this sweater work? Could this be a hell yes? And I would want to take this home with me and give it a try. Or I already own it and I was thinking about purging it, but now I'm thinking, you know what? It's authentic in so many categories, and maybe the new color would just be kind of fresh. So be willing to look at the fact that authenticity in your style is fluid. It's something, the same as our style, it's going to change. Just because something was authentic for you, as I said, I used to wear yellow too. I don't own anything. So yes, if it looks like I look a little bit different right this minute, it's because when I first filmed this video, it cut off at the very end and I didn't realize it until I went to edit it. And so I was mid-sentence talking about the fact that I used to wear yellow and the video stopped. And so I wanted to hop on here and put on the sweater that I was wearing to make it have a little bit of continuity and just pick up where I left off and wrap up the ideas that I was sharing about authentic style. I used to wear yellow and I no longer own any clothing that is yellow. And I think it's important to mention that the reason that I used to wear yellow and brown and wool maybe not so much, because wool I really don't think it really bothered my skin before, and now it does. That does seem to have changed. But just the brown and the yellow specifically, I think the reason that I wore brown and yellow and don't any longer is because I really hadn't taken the time to get clear on what was authentic for me. So if I saw something yellow specifically that was on sale, I was apt to buy it just because it was on sale, and I didn't know that I didn't really love yellow on my body, on my person as my style. Same with brown. I hadn't really identified that brown doesn't make me feel joyful when I wear it. It looks beautiful on other people. I have lots of clients who wear brown. I have lots of women who wear brown so well that sometimes it tricks me into thinking that I should also be wearing brown. And then when I try something brown on, Greta wears brown, my daughter wears brown. She looks amazing in brown. She looks for brown when we shop. And I sometimes think maybe I should wear brown. It just doesn't feel authentic on me. So that to say, yellow and brown are no longer in my wardrobe, not because I changed from being authentically yellow and brown to being authentically bright blue and gray and navy and cream, but because I finally started to pay attention to what was actually authentic for me. I got clear on when I get dressed, how do I want to look and feel, and what is the most authentic version of me? What is she wearing? And she's not wearing brown and yellow. So it's not that brown and yellow were authentic for me and then it changed and now different colors are authentic, although that does happen. It's totally possible that at one stage in your life, like me with dresses, I used to authentically love to wear dresses and now I don't so much. You could have authentically loved to wear something, stripes or anything else, and now you don't, and your authenticity has, swung in a different direction, and that's totally fine. In my case, specifically with brown and yellow, it wasn't really authentic for me ever, but I was wearing it because I hadn't done the work to figure out what was authentic. So all of that to say that your authentic style, that part of your personal style and your wardrobe that is authentic, is that thing that makes other people who know you say when they see something, oh, this looks just like Kristen. Oh my gosh, Kristen, this looks just like you. Because they can tell that your authentic style is showing, so much so that when they're in a store or when they see something on someone else or when they see something on Instagram or television, they think of you because they feel like it identifies with who you are and how you present yourself to the world. That's a good thing. And I'm sure if you think just even for a second, there are times when you see something that reminds you of someone else because their authentic style is very firmly rooted and they know who they are and what they want to look like. So when you see a camel colored sweater or a plaid blazer, you think of a person who that is their authentic style. So if you would like help finding your authentic style, style therapy will do just that. I would love to work with you one-on-one. We can hop on a 1-hour consult call to make sure that it's a good fit and that what you are looking to create, I can help with. My clients get results. I am firmly a believer that having incredible personal style does not have to be complicated or expensive, and it is my dream and goal to help as many women who want to have my help get there, get to a place where getting dressed is just fun and easy, and it's no longer a chore, and it doesn't create any kind of drama. It's just easy and simple and fun, and authentic. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you have a beautiful week. I will be on Instagram doing a lifestyle Q&A next Tuesday. So if you have a question, you can drop it into the question box that I put up a couple of days before, or you can drop a question down below here in the comments and just mark that it's for Instagram, and I will address it over on the live. I said Tuesday, and I have been doing some of them on Mondays some weeks, just given the way the schedules are, and I know we're headed into the holidays. So if you see that it's going to be on a Monday, just know that for right now, for the rest of the year, I'm going to be kind of flexible with whether it's on a Tuesday or a Monday. Whether you can attend live or not, they all get saved, and they're in the feed on my Instagram page under the Reels section. And you can always go back and look at what the questions are in the caption, and then just, watch for the answers that you're interested in. That's all I got for you today. I hope that that was helpful. How's your authentic style? I'd love to hear, what's most authentic for you, what isn't at all authentic for you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love to read those. Thank you very much. I hope you have a really beautiful day, and I'll see you next Friday.